All right, today we're going to dive into the complex but really fascinating field of hermeneutics. Now, in short, it's the art of interpretation, and it explains a very common yet kind of strange experience we've all had. Think about it for a second. Have you ever picked up a book for the second time, maybe years after you first read it, and it just feels like a totally different story? You start noticing things, little details that you would have sworn weren't there before. But here's the catch. The book is exactly the same. The words on the page haven't changed one bit. So what's different? Well, you are. Your perspective has shifted. And that feeling, that's not some weird mistake. It's actually the central puzzle that hermeneutics, the theory of interpretation, is trying to solve. So to get started, we've got to go all the way back to the origins of this idea and look at a fundamental paradox that sits right at the heart of how we understand, well, pretty much anything. So, what is hermeneutics? At its core, it's the theory of interpretation, and the word itself gives us a really cool clue. It comes from Hermes, the messenger of the gods in Greek mythology. His whole job was to bridge the gap between the gods and humans. And in the same way, hermeneutics is all about bridging that gap between a text and the person trying to understand it. But, and this is a big but, as soon as you try to bridge that gap, you slam right into this fundamental paradox. It's called the hermeneutical circle, and honestly, it's just an inescapable part of how we make sense of the world. Here's how it works, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. To understand the individual parts of a text, the words, the sentences, you need to have some idea of the whole story. But how on earth can you grasp the whole story without first understanding its individual parts? It's a loop. You literally can't have one without the other. The philosopher Martin Heidegger put it in this really mind-bending way. Any interpretation which is to contribute understanding must already have understood what is to be interpreted. It sounds totally impossible, right? But what it really means is that we never ever come to a text as a blank slate. We always bring something with us, some prior knowledge, and that's what gets the circle spinning. In this pre-understanding, this stuff we bring with us, it's not a flaw in the system. It's actually a feature. Because interpretation is really a meeting of two completely distinct worlds. And this leads us to a really crucial idea. Meaning isn't some kind of static object, like a treasure you dig up and find inside a book. No. Meaning is something that is actively created in the very act of reading. It's born in that dynamic interaction between you and the text. So these two different worlds are called horizons. On one side, you have the text's horizon. That's everything that shaped it. Its history, the author's world, the language people used back then. And on the other side, you've got the reader's horizon. That's you. That's all of your unique experiences, your culture, and whatever you happen to believe right now. So what happens when these two horizons meet? Well, the philosopher Hans-Georg Gadamer had this absolutely beautiful term for it. He called it a fusion of horizons. It's not about one world conquering the other. It's about creating a totally new, shared space of understanding that literally didn't exist before you started reading. It's a creative act. Okay, but that idea of a friendly fusion, it sounds a little too optimistic, doesn't it? Which brings us to our next section, reading with suspicion. Because what if a text isn't just offering you a world to join, but is actually trying to hide something from you? I mean, really think about it. Do we always want to just uncritically accept the world a text is showing us? Is it always a good idea to just trust it and fuse with its worldview? Or should we maybe keep our guard up sometimes? Well, thinkers like Paul Ricoeur and Jürgen Habermas definitely thought so. They argued that just being trusting isn't enough. They pointed out that, communication can be distorted, and text can be used to control people or mislead them. To fight this, they said we need something called a hermeneutics of suspicion. This critical approach gives us a whole new toolkit. It means we start asking some tough questions, like, does this text secretly serve some hidden ideology or power structure? Is its language designed to mislead me rather than make things clear? Is it masking some unconscious motives, or just using tradition and authority to control how I think? Okay, so we've got this trusting fusion on one hand and this critical suspicion on the other. How do we put it all together? Well, that brings us to our final section, a complete model for the real art of interpretation. A really full, rich, and responsible reading isn't just one thing. It's not just about trust, and it's not just about suspicion. It requires you to balance three different but equally important dimensions. So let's break down this practical framework. It has three parts. First is understanding. This is where you engage with the text and ask,
What world is this opening up for me? Second is explanation. Here you get analytical and ask, how does this text actually work? What's its structure? And finally, there's assessment. This is the critical step, where you have to ask yourself, is the change this text is asking me to make, is it a good one?
And listen, this isn't just some dusty old academic theory. This three-part model is a practical toolkit for your life. Especially today, in an age of constant information and misinformation, this is absolutely essential for navigating disagreements, for really appreciating art, and at the end of the day, for getting a deeper, more critical understanding of yourself.
The philosopher Paul Ricoeur captured this transformative power so perfectly. Reading isn't just about downloading information. It's about trying on other ways of being. When the world of the text changes in your mind, you, the reader, are also invited to change right along with it. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you read an article, or watch a movie, or even just listen to a song, the very next text you encounter, ask yourself, what world is this thing offering me? And maybe more importantly, is that an invitation I want to accept?